content,
So,
especially any content that
I
might
have
not
here
portray him in any type
mackerel,
of favorable way. But again, I'm
mackerel,
speculating. I don't know
fried
for a fact
fish,
that Donald Trump is the one who ordered the
and I
defunding of
have
Stars and Stripes.
here
What I do know is that Mark Esper
Binagoongan,
allegedly proposing that idea
and
is not the reason why
I
Donald
have
Trump wants to get
here
rid of him. He's had issues
broccoli
with him
patty,
for a while now. And Cenk, to your point about calling him
and
Jesper, in an
rice.
interview, Trump
My
said,
dessert
this is the last
is
graphic, some people call him
chocolate
Jesper.
mousse.
I get along with him fine. He's fine.
So, kain tayo. And this is broccoli lang. Broccoli patty. Yummy. Raw. Yummy.
Oh, got papers today.
How's your fish?
Nice one, Marge. Doing your bit for the environment just got easy. Switch to Meridian. The power that doesn't cost you, and a plan that suits you.
Get our super fast internet, which I get it fiber at the smallest possible price. Only $84.95. And for an extra $5 a month, get super fast connection, even room Google Wi-Fi. Go walk.me to go faster.
The Robbie West has a great era of a lot of farming history with some great local vineyards, orchards, and feels like home.
My family have been here for over 100 years, and it's a place where I raised our daughters. It's such an amazing area.
We're really proud to live there and work local. We support our local contractors and we support proudly our local schools and sports communities.
Our role is to ensure that our clients enjoy every step of the way. We take the time to listen and understand what their wish list is, what their budget is.
They give us the information on how they want to live, and then we design a home that meets their needs and their love to live in.
With GJs, we're dealing with a local issue occasionally about the area and what they do. They were supported by a national network of
Is it nice, huh?
families.
We are shaping communities
What is that?
and ensuring people have great places to live for generations to come.
Discover new details about your family history with Ancestry. Simply type in a name and let Ancestry guide you on a journey of discovery. Start searching for free at ancestry.com.au.
At Chandelier, we're excited to launch a new range of premium biscuits. These biscuits taste great and made with 100% natural ingredients and no preservatives.
It's yum.
Chandelier, New Zealand.
This year, I lost my mate Alan to prostate cancer, which means Thingy lost his voice. But if he could talk, I know he would ask you to help us fight this. Register your blue do at blueseptember.org.nz.
What do you do when you got to steal the back off your boss's tractor? I'm going to just Only as Monday at 30 on 3.
Is that your favorite? I like it.
Oh, you're real squealy. And no, there's a mouth. My real big mouth. This is the green. No, my beard right here.
Yummy. What? What's that from?
Here.
Lots of deer. Have you eaten the deer, Ron? How does it taste? Are they selling deer here? No.
She's too fucking holy smokes, I've had this oil on bro. They reduced it with it, don't they? Well, that stag now is the question for us, however. We could hear another stag roaring back at him right on the other side of that far ridge, so bit of a walk for me, might get there before dark.
Binagoongan.
Good. Nice to be in home and good to go around.
Yes. Not just a deer we jump for, is it? But I want for the deer. When it comes to the beautiful spot. Take a look, would you?
Broccoli patty. What do you want?
Push the phone in. Give me. I just go outside. Stop.
You're noisy, yeah.
Oh, good job.
Missed. Oh, I got it.
Thank you very much. Long day. Running around the high country. Truly good. Last minute to light. You know, we can get us by roaring with the way I'm sort of worried. But on the move to stop for just long enough for me to try away. You don't see the one shot in the there you go. I'm only lucky with any day. And hey, really got to take it right. I was the top of the tree back down. Mix and then put the safaris. I deliver an amateur like me, so thank you very much, guys. Awesome. Good job, thanks, mate. Yeah. Well, that was like having some backstage sorted. What's next on your southern menu, Dan? Not much better. Yeah, good job. Well, after you carry on. Beautiful. So this week, I'm just going to give you the 3 things that I changed that turned my luck around when I couldn't catch crapper in the past. Now, the first is this rig. I've got a sturdy, suffix legged in there, that's £300. I've got some broccoli fried in that, some BMC circle, got a lemon tube just to hold the whole in place, and I sink her on the bottom. Now, aside from the root, there's two other very important things. The other is braid. It's thin, it cuts through the water, it also gives you increased sensitivity. And lastly, a tough steady bait. This is a piece of barracuda, a bit of squid, something nice and tough that's going to stay on the hook, because you don't want to be dropping 150 metres down, a couple of little bites and you lose your bait. So sturdy baits, baited line, and the old basic pottery, and you too can go out and get some great bait.
This show was not made with your tax dollars. It was made with the help of top brands like Toyota, Steadycraft, Evenroot and Veruno, and the finest quality Shimano gear that we get from Hunting and Fishing New Zealand. And with us from the start is the team at ITM that love fishing just as much as we do. A lot of the gear and techniques in this episode have changed. And of course, we've had countless more fishing adventures. So to catch up with the latest tips and techniques, as well as our latest fishing action, check out ultimatefishing.tv and download the Ultimate Fishing app. So wherever you go, you've got access to our entire catalogue of tips, rigs, techniques, and location information. And it's all available free at ultimatefishing.tv.
I should have
All that action was
with the
brought to
oven
you by
instead of
ITM.
frying.
Just like hundreds of others.
And put lemon in it while baking.
Now let's support.
This is New South Line 430, just in case. Labour's unveiled its eviction tax plan, setting a new top rate for New Zealand's highest earners. 6 new COVID-19 cases in the community, all of them linked to a Mount Rossall church. And no more keeping up with the queens of reality TV.
How does that put through it? Oh.
Good afternoon. New Zealand's top earners will pay more tax if Labour wins next month's election. The party is promising a new top tax rate of 39%, and that is for people earning more than $180,000 a year. That will affect about 2% of New Zealanders, and Labour's finance spokesperson Grant Robertson says it would generate up to $500 million a year. Alice Wilkins reports.
Labour says its tax policy is all about one thing, balance.
We think we struck the right balance. We believe that that's the appropriate balance to strike at this time. We thought it struck the
That's
right
what
balance.
they lie on it.
COVID-19, Grant Robertson says Labour is offering stability this election with a plan that will keep a lid on debt and support recovery.
This policy is about everyone pitching in to do their bit to help our country rebuild.
Under a Labour government, the new top tax rate would be 39%. It's 6% more than our current top rate, which applies to anyone who earns more than $70,000. But this new increase would only apply to individuals who earn more than $180,000.
So this will only affect the top 2% of earners. For 98% of people, there won't be any change.
Grant Robertson says the policy would generate more than $500 million a year in revenue, and Labour won't add any more taxes in the next term. But National believes it's just the beginning. Robertson wouldn't rule out further tax changes should Labour form a coalition government with the Green Party.
He sounded, when I heard the press conference, incapable of ruling out any more tax grabs. And certainly we know that the Greens, who were some buddies with Labour on these issues, have made it very clear they'd like a wealth tax.
Anything that comes from the opposition should be characterised as simply opposition politics, and sadly it seems misinformation. Labour will introduce a proposed tax change in April next year, but that all depends on what the election brings. Alice Wilkins, News Hub.
There are 6 new cases of COVID-19 in the community. All of them are linked to the Mount Rossall Evangelical Church group. 4 of the new cases are part of a subcluster associated with a series of bereavement events, including household visits and a funeral earlier this month. A person who visited the house was infectious with COVID-19, which is now resulted in 14 known positive cases. Lucy Rainer reports.
Broccoli
First came the top cluster, then the Mount Rossall Church subcluster, now the subcluster.
They're not members of that wider congregation, but they have linked back to it because they've been infected by a member of that congregation, clearly unintentionally.
2 people from the congregation had visited the home of a grieving friend. One of them passed the virus to some of those who were at the house. The bereaved then attended a funeral last Wednesday, which 48 people were at, bringing this subcluster to 14 cases, and now the pressure is on.
It's raising some flags, and that's why we're working really quickly, including that widespread testing in the school, going out onto the bus trips and so on, to make sure we're capturing any possible contacts.
Schools and buses are in the spotlight because of today's 6 new cases. One is a student at the now closed St Dominic's Catholic College in West Auckland, and one is a Richie's bus driver who worked the Northern Express service last Thursday and Friday.
The driver was not symptomatic at that time, wore a mask and gloves while on shift.
There's also a new case at Hapaiti Homewater, a public health clinic in Henderson. Everyone linked to the Mount Rossall Church is now being asked to get retested, and Dr Bloomfield admits some there have been reluctant to take a test in the past.
There are a number of reasons why people don't like being tested or want to be tested. I guess first of all, they have to accept that it's a real thing.
Professor of Religious History Peter Lyons says it's not uncommon for faith to clash with science.
They seem to be a fundamentalist church with a strong emphasis on Bible teaching, which usually means a very literalistic approach and a strong belief in miracles.
A test of faith that's making the COVID test even less appealing for those who need it the most. Lucy Brenner, News Hub.
The government has changed the country's border rules so that new residents stranded overseas due to COVID-19 can hold on to their residency status. Currently, those who are granted a resident visa must travel to New Zealand within a certain time frame to activate it. The new rules though mean anyone whose travel conditions are about to expire will receive a 12-month extension. One of the world's most promising COVID vaccine trials is on hold.
You know, there's a spider. He's supposed to go home. But there's a target in his days here.
To allow a review of safety data. Drug company AstraZeneca is investigating whether the illness the person has is as a result of receiving a shot. Life-changing medications for type 2 diabetes could be funded in New Zealand by the end of the year. About 250,000 Kiwis have diabetes, but advocates say the current treatments are third world. Health correspondent Lucy Warhurst reports.
Tusi Iona has lived with type 2 diabetes for 9 years. The condition has had a huge impact on his life.
It was hard for me, because my mom was diabetic as well. And she passed away of not taking her medications and that.
It's made him determined to show his family he can do it.
Every medication is important to me. Whatever my doctor said, I will do it.
Diabetes is a major public health issue which can have devastating long-term complications. Pharmac has developed 2 medications, Jardiance and Trulicity, to improve things.
In particular, as well as treating diabetes, they slow down progression to renal disease, and they actually help the heart, so they prevent heart disease.
It's absolutely a step in the right direction. It's not going to satisfy everything, but it's a step in the right direction.
These medications could help 50,000 Kiwis with type 2 diabetes with a high risk of heart and kidney disease, particularly Mali, Pacific and South Asian people. But that's just 20% of patients. Some say there should be access for all.
The rest will be left with our current outmoded, ineffective and convenient drugs.
If the proposal is approved, patients could start getting access from December. Lucy Warhurst, News Hub.
Well, spring is finally here, and that means the deadly Legionnaires' disease season has started. It is a form of pneumonia
Scary.
commonly contracted when dust and compost or potting mix is inhaled.
Be
Some
careful,
Australian
though.
universities looking at how to make
Use
garden
gloves.
like potting mix safer
Ronnie.
by lowering the levels of the bacteria.
Do you have gloves?
And I think it's impossible to make it completely safe. What we can do is say to people, look, this is much reduced risk.
About 400 people
And mask
live in this
also?
area. 1 in 5 end
Because you
up
would inhale it.
and a quarter of
Use
those
mask.
dying.
Where's your garden?
A blaze has burnt through 800 hectares in Otago. The fire started from a controlled burn-off near Palmerston, which was fanned by gusty nor'westers. 7 helicopters with monsoon buckets battled the blaze in tough conditions alongside ground crew near Macrae Township. Some farmers moved livestock as a precaution.
We do have a residual property at the south end of the spire that we've been able to protect and prevent the building from being damaged.
A southerly front is expected to bring some relief, with rain forecast tonight. Helicopter pilots in California are working against the clock to rescue hundreds of people who are trapped by wildfires. Fueled by strong winds, the fires burned through a busy campground. And the CBS's Jonathan Bigliotti reports firefighters are racing to gain control of the flames before the winds pick up again.
Tonight, the creek fire is being called an unprecedented disaster, spiraling flames in all directions. We saw it firsthand.
These are the kinds of unbelievable conditions that rescuers are
Is it nice, huh?
They simply can't get to those campers that are trapped.
Brocolli Fritters.
Campgrounds had been packed on a Labor Day weekend that quickly became a nightmare. The California National Guard made some rescues, but had to abort several more with the fire still too treacherous. Finally, today came the break they needed. This was Mary Breckenridge hearing for the first time from her son John that all was okay. He was aboard a Chinook helicopter. 3 days of anxiety and despair melting away in an instant. John and his dog Banner safely rescued.
You know, my cabin is probably on fire, our cabin. But this is what's important.
The wildfires burning throughout the West are especially destructive this year. Scientists say they're fueled by climate change. The fires now ripping through several states, leaving a path of immeasurable destruction. This fire exploding in Utah. Others racing through the Pacific Northwest to the small community of Malden, Washington.
Approximately 90% of the town is completely gone.
Including the city hall, fire station, and the post office. Flames still visible hours after the fire raced through. Pushed by 50-mile-per-hour winds. Residents getting out just in time. Back at the creek fire, pilots made 8 trips today, rescuing 120 people. The winds are about to pick up again. The fire's still out of control. But for so many families, this is all that matters.
And news ahead, an Aussie tourist hotspot has left reeling after its first fatal shark attack in more than 60 years. Plus, why the Kardashians are calling time on their reality TV show.
Tonight, the project is at 7, and unwelcome visitors swarm the beach. Find out what the buzz is about on Bondi Rescue. Big car crashes and gunshots. It's all in the day's work in emergency. It's all good on 3.
Me and you just sing on track, me and you listen to rain, me and you, we all said, me and you have all that we need. Indeed, you and me, are we?
We're making banking easier, so you can keep on moving with pens.
Sometimes we do things
So, it's our time. Chocolate
But there's
mousse.
one choice that will definitely make you feel good. Getting your funeral insurance sorted now, so your loved ones won't have to worry about paying for your funeral costs later. So talk to someone you trust, like New Zealand Seniors, and get Seniors Funeral Insurance. You're guaranteed cover for up to $30,000. Your premiums go down as you get older, and when you're no longer there to mess up the washing, there's a quick payout to your family. Plus, your family will receive your full cover amount for all of the premiums you've paid, whichever's greater. You can't lose.
Food. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching my mukbang. So, see you in my next video. Bye, everyone. More hugs to all.
From the tough moments to the